Oh my gosh, let me get this thing set up. Oh, wait a minute. I have to share.
Good morning.
Good morning. There we go. And play. There we are. Okay, so there's a echo back there. Somebody. Sheesh. Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, that sounds good. So we are through chapter 9 as a group. I am curious just to check in and see if anybody has finished the book already and you've gone back and you're pilfering through, or any other way that you might be doing it. I'm on I think this is my third, it might be my fourth time through the book. I encourage it if you can do it. But I'd like to hear from a few of you, just anything that you've put in practice over the last 2 weeks before we dive into chapters 7, 8, and 9 together and pull out the key points that we're going to use for the upcoming 2 weeks. So just unmute yourself and speak out. Let's have this be conversational this morning.
Deborah here.
Hey, Deborah. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm in chapter 7, listening to chapter 17, but it seems like, sometimes Audible goes back for some reason, but late, I think 17 is the highest I'm at.
Oh, no. You know what it is? Audible shows the chapters are off. So
yeah,
like James would be reading and he might say chapter 17, but when you look at Audible, it's written as chapter 18. So, some weird thing like that, right?
That seems right to me.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I just ignore it. But
and I don't know, Thomas, if we have done chapters 7 through 9 as a group. This is our fourth meeting, I believe. Anyway, I'm just putting that out there.
Last time we met, we had gone through 1 through 7 again, and then we were supposed to go through chapter 9 for today. Okay. And if in fact that got lost somewhere, it's not going to be a bad impact on anybody, because I think everybody's read. These chapters are so short. I would imagine everybody's kind of read through further and gone back and forth. At least I hope so, because the intention of our being together is to take the key elements that he provides and really put them into action, because otherwise they're good ideas and they have no place to take root. Agreed?
Agreed.
All right. Okay, so anybody else?
Joanne?
Yeah, Joanne.
So I went back and started again last night and started making notes, kind of like we used to when we would do coursework together, bullet points. And then when I was looking at my habits, I started creating a space for habits I want to bring into play and habits I want to take out of play. So when I was looking at my habits, I could see this is what I want to put in. Where does it have a natural place to be? And I'm conscious of, I want to put this one in. It's not in now. Not going to beat myself up. When I find its spot, then it gets done. But I'm really tied getting present to the 3 levels and working at the inner level. And I remember your story about, I'm not a smoker, even if you had a cigarette.
Yeah.
And I'm really also taking a look.
30 years ago, everybody.
Yes.
Not yesterday, not last week. We're talking
20 years ago.
25 years ago.
Yeah. So I'm trying to tie my beliefs to my habits. Like, what belief generated this habit being there?
And then maybe another angle you might add to it also is if there's a new habit that you are looking to develop, then what is the identity that you are out to create that habit fulfills?
Right. Absolutely.
And do you have an answer to that by chance? Not like you should. I just wonder if you might.
Well, okay, so the example I'll use is meditation. So my meditation does not have a home that it lives in. It has a home in when I can get it in. So there are days that it doesn't get done.
Now, Joanne, take out the passivity.
Okay.
Take a look.
I know I'm not going to.
There are times
when I do not meditate.
That's right. There you go.
Okay.
The passivity was there are times that does not take place. As though somehow it's going to, on its own, take place, right? And you're not the only one. We all do it, Joanna. It's just easy to catch you. That's all.
When I say it the way I said it, there's a little less accountability, right?
There's no accountability. And the thing is, and we want accountability. Everybody, yeah. There's a natural resistance somehow to being accountable or responsible. There's a natural resistance to it because it somehow is collapsed into either a good person or a bad person, versus accountability gives me power. Even if I don't change anything, I always know I can. Even if every day I say, I didn't meditate, I didn't meditate, I didn't meditate. Every time I can say, I didn't meditate, I know that I can. But every time I say, it didn't happen, it didn't happen, it didn't happen, forces me to look for environmental cues that will allow it to happen. Make sense?
Yeah, and where I'm getting caught up in this particular element is the belief statement of who I choose to be. So if I say I'm a spiritual person, I am whether or not I meditate. I have a lot of other spiritual practices. So I haven't quite honed in the belief statement that makes meditation fall out into occurring.
Yeah, right. That makes it a natural go-to.
Yes.
All right. So let's throw this out to everybody because I think it's a good thing to look at. Meditation as a practice fulfills what kind of identity? So you already hit the one, Joanne, being a spiritual person. That's one angle. But as you already noticed, it doesn't have any juice. Mm-mm. Not for this. So somebody else, what does meditation provide?
Thomas, it's Barbara.
Thank you, Barbara.
I wanted to say stress relief, but it's really body healing.
All right. So if I'm gonna phrase that as a who I am, phrase that as a who I am.
Who I am is a person who takes care of myself physically, mentally, and emotionally.
Okay, good.
Through meditation.
Yeah, and well, forget the through meditation because it will call for meditation, but that's really brilliant. Okay. I think it's brilliant what you said because it is an identity that you are being and becoming, and meditation supports that. Going to the dentist supports that. Going to your doctor on a regular basis supports that. Going to the gym supports that. Walking every day supports that, right?
Right.
Yeah, good. Really good. Somebody else.
Could she say it again, please? A person who takes care of myself physically, mentally, and
spiritually. I think that's what she said.
Okay.
Yeah, that was really good. Somebody else? Anything at all that you can provide as meditation fulfills, provides, causes?
For me, it drops me into the present moment. And that's a good thing, as I often find I often am not.
Right.
Actually, let me put that in the past.
So then,
In the past, I'm often not present.
yeah, got it. So what would be the entity we're creating? Who I am is somebody that's present, alive.
Yes,
Yeah, present and alive.
somebody who is present.
Yeah.
And takes care of herself.
Yeah, very good. Very good. So when I look for myself and I say, what does meditation fulfill as part of my identity? Meditation, so there is that thing being present, which being present, I started with the team a couple of years ago messing around with what's beyond being present. I mean, really and truly, what's beyond it? And that's being completely connected to everything and everybody. So who I am is connected to everything and everybody. And meditation is a habit that supports that experience and that way of being.
Oh, I
Yeah,
like
really
that.
good. That was great. Thanks for bringing that up, Joanne. Is there anything else for anybody? Not necessarily on that specific topic, but anything at all that you're bringing out for yourself in doing the practices of Atomic Habits?
Maria.
Thomas?
Yeah, Maria, go ahead.
Thank you. Well, I just have a question kind of to let it out of the way. So I thought we were supposed to read up to chapter 12, and I thought today we will be talking about up to chapter 12. But I see today's chapter 7, 8, and 9. I guess it's because I work on that and like, okay, so I
You're actually accurate. I did ask that we read through chapter 12, but we had not as a group done 7, 8, and 9 yet.
okay.
Yeah. Very good. Okay, yeah, you can get that out of the way because you're right. And I have it written here in my notes, and I kind of stepped over it because I knew that we had to do together 7, 8, and 9 to put it in. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Any other things out there?
Thomas?
Yes, Barbara.
Okay, we were talking last week about structure, putting structures in place.
Yeah, systems and structures.
Okay, so systems and structures. So what I saw is during the week, I have a system, where everything is laid out and I follow it, and I'm high performance, and, I get done what I want to get done.
Yeah.
And then the weekend comes. And every single weekend for the past 3 weekends, I'm depressed, I'm despondent. I just want to sit there and watch movies. And even those I criticize, and I'm like, and I want to fall back into being sad and unhappy and blah, blah, blah. And all there is work, and the weekends are nothing. I'd rather go back to work. And so what I saw was a little kid who got up on Saturday mornings and watched cartoons, and then we cleaned house. That was ritual.
Oh.
I don't do that. I do not do that. It's maybe a long time ago in my 30s I might have done that, but not now. So there's no good cartoons to watch on Saturday morning, and I don't clean house. So I'm absolutely lost with structure on the weekend.
Yes.
And I'm mad and discouraged and unhappy about the weekend, and I make everything wrong. We never go anywhere. We never do anything. And even when we do, it's too much work. And I've got work on Monday, don't you know? And it's just a mess on the weekends. And I went, wow, I have a habit of waiting for cartoons on Saturday, and it never gets fulfilled.
Oh my gosh. That's really brilliant. That's really brilliant. So now we need a new system or a new structure to hold the weekends in, right? A new context for the weekends.
Yeah, and I don't have that yet. I'm working on that.
Yeah, so well, at least we know that's the game and that's the focus. So when we
Yeah.
look at any habit, a habit lives inside of a system. And the system is never fully the habit itself. Thank you, sir. I was getting feedback. It's never fully the habit itself. If you remember, I don't remember what chapter it's in, but it really stood out to me when I saw it the last time I saw it. And that is focus on the first 2 minutes. So I'll give you an example where I was able to use this. So I do my own taxes, and my taxes are rather complex. And don't misunderstand me when I say I do my own. I use TurboTax, okay? So TurboTax does the heavy lifting, but it's still a lot of work. And I resist it like the devil, especially this year because I think we're going to get eaten alive by taxes. And then I remembered, wait a minute, just focus on the first 2 minutes. If you can do the first 2 minutes, then see where it goes. So for me, the first 2 minutes was opening up TurboTax, setting up the new year, making sure my name and address is correct. And I did that. And what ended up getting completed is I do 8th Street taxes, my house on 8th Street, I do taxes for that first because I have a partner in that property and I don't want them to have to wait on the data that they might need to do their stuff. And I got it done. And I got it done in less than an hour, which blew my mind because 8th Street, as some of you know, I did a lot of work on this year. So there was a lot of stuff. My point is, whether or not, and this might be good for you to play with too, Barbara, for your weekend, I didn't focus on whether or not I actually got anything done. I really only focused on the 2 minutes, and then it spiraled into something. I would not have made it wrong if I had just done the 2 minutes. Do you understand? I want to make that clear. This isn't about tricking yourself. Like I didn't use it to trick myself into getting it done. I used it as it was intended. I'm going to do 2 minutes and see where I go from there. And it just so happened where I went from there is I got 8th Street done. All righty. Slide 1, self-control. Addictions can dissolve if there's a radical change in the environment. So Barbara, I thought about you when I read this. Just this moment, not when I read it before, just this moment. And I say, oh, so there's an addiction to looking for the cartoons, which, by the way, I know is all at the level of energy. It's not like you're really looking for cartoons. And I love how you created that, by the way. It was very empowering. And I think everybody could get their life at some level in what you said. Those addictions can dissolve if there's a radical change in the environment. So it might be, and I'm making this up entirely, it might be that the weekends you now spend with your grandkids. I'm making this up, okay? Or you go and spend with a girlfriend. Like there's something that you change the environment of what you're going into in the weekends. Just a thought. Addictions can dissolve if there's a radical change in the environment. Not getting yes?
Is there any chance that you can increase the differential? It's hard for me to read. Like it's really pale.
Oh, really?
Oh, there's your face.
Shoot. All right, let's see if this helps at all. Any better?
No, I'll just.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
I mean, my screen looks perfect. I don't know what's happening. All right, addictions can dissolve. So, in the
Thomas,
yes,
what I saw the minute you said that, what happens is, I'm not looking for cartoons. You're right. I'm looking for different. Then I get up every morning. So I think if I get up on Saturday morning and just lounge around the house, but it's nothing. If I got up, got dressed, and went out and did nothing but get a cup of coffee, I would be out of the house in a different environment, would set the tone for a different weekend.
Oh, there you go. There you go. And if you set it up where you meet somebody for coffee, that will pull you out.
Yes.
Because it'd be really easy to wake up in the morning and say, oh, shoot, I don't feel like putting it all together just to go out for coffee. But I will put it all together to go out and meet my friend Joanne, or I will put it together to go out and meet Thomas. You know, like there's set something up out there that can pull for the performance as well. Very good.
Yeah.
So years ago, so I guess it was 70s, 80s, and I smoked cigarettes. And there was a moment when I said, I will be free from cigarettes. I will be free from cigarettes. So I hung out with, so you all don't know this probably, but I was a bartender. And I tended bar in a really popular nightclub in Louisville, Kentucky. So it was really busy. And in case you don't know this, bartenders smoke, okay? I mean, and drinkers usually smoke. So the play in Louisville, Kentucky, and in those years, you could smoke pretty much anywhere. And I realized that my environment was a pull for smoking. And I had to decide to remove myself from that environment. So that's one little example of addictions can dissolve if there's a radical change in the environment. When the context changes, so does the habit. You spend less time in tempting situations. Cues. If you're not careful with cues, they can cause the very behavior you want to stop, because bad habits are autocatalytic. Am I saying that right, Joanne? Autocatalytic, which means it's the process of it feeding itself. Autocatalytic. If Jean were here, she'd correct me.
Catalytic, I think you're saying it correctly.
All right. The cues can cause the very behavior you want to stop. Example. You feel bad, and your resolution to feeling bad is eating junk food. You eat the junk food, you feel bad, etc. You can see how, so for some people, they smoke cigarettes to relax themselves. But when they smoke, they actually get more anxious, which makes the next cigarette more appealing. So it's fostering the very feelings that they're trying to numb. You'll not stick to positive habits in a negative environment. Self-control is a short-term strategy, not a long one. You may be able to resist temptation once or twice, but it's unlikely you can muster the willpower to override your desires every time. I love gummy bears. Don't ever buy me any gummy bears. I'm telling you I love them, not because I want them to be gifted to me. I'm just telling you a story. I love them. So I can't buy them. Well, we have the apartment downstairs that we're now renting out as an Airbnb. So we keep snacks. And Raphael bought a big box of little packets of gummy bears. There were 48 little packets in there. And the key word is were. There were 48 in there. You guys, I'm out here in my office and just talking about those damn gummy bears. I have this suspicion that as soon as we get done with this call, I'm going to run in and get a pack. There's only about 4 left. Every time I come home, those damn things are there. So self-control is not effective. I can only escape that temptation a few times. So Raphael and I now have an agreement. No gummy bears and no little famous Amos cookies, because I clean those out too. Anybody want to read the next slide for me?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can you back up to the, it said self-control is not a long-term solution.
Self-control is not a long-term solution.
So is what he pointing to, we want to control our environment?
Yeah, see, your environment, or you could call it your system, or you could call it your structure. I want you to kind of view all those things similarly because they bring context to whatever's going on.
Got it.
Yeah, so self-control, everybody has a little bit of self-control or willpower. You all might remember, those of you who were in the, I can't remember the name of the course that we did, but we were talking about willpower. And everybody wakes up every morning with a certain amount of willpower. But that willpower is used up. In other words, willpower just doesn't hang out there and it's always there when you need it. No, you start off with a bunch and it dwindles down. And then when you get to the bottom of it, like, for how many of you are the evenings tougher to keep your commitments than it is in the morning or the daytime? Because you've already used up so much of your willpower dealing with so many things that you don't have enough left over at the end. That's kind of like in the world of self-control.
I'll read this.
Thanks. This slide, somebody?
Charlie?
Go ahead, Charlie.
The inversion of law number 1. Make it invisible. It's easier to avoid temptation than to resist it. One of the most practical ways to eliminate a bad habit is to reduce exposure to the cue that it causes.
It causes it.
That causes it.
Yeah. So take a look, everybody. Think of a time when you actually did this and you didn't know it as a structure. There was something that you wanted to stop doing, some habit you were breaking, and you naturally made it more invisible because you realized it's going to be way easier for me to avoid the temptation than to resist it. Like, for instance, getting this cake and cookies out of my house makes it invisible. My rule is, so I have a rule. My rule is I can have anything I want if I'm willing to go out and get it. I just can't have it here. So if I really want those damn cookies, then I've got to get in the car and drive somewhere and get them. If I really want those gummy bears, I got to get in the car and drive somewhere and get them. That's the rule. So it's rare, if ever, that I'm going to do it. Anybody else see a time or anything in your own life where this is real for you already? Give you a moment.
Thomas,
Yeah, go ahead.
on the news the other morning, they were fooling around and they had Pop-Tarts on. And they were talking about hot Pop-Tarts, cold Pop-Tarts, or Pop-Tarts with butter on them. I love Pop-Tarts.
Yeah, I can hear it.
Very Pop-Tarts. So I was at the store and I bought an entire box of 16 Pop-Tarts.
Oh my gosh. And did you eat them all?
I did not eat them all, but I ate enough that I made myself sick.
Oh boy.
And then shot my blood sugar sky high. And I said, okay, this is enough. I cannot ever buy Pop-Tarts. They have to go in the trash.
Oh boy.
Oh, it was horrid.
Yes.
And then the other day they were saying something about donuts. No, it was last week's call. Don't ask me what popped up about donuts. I thought I was going to die because I couldn't find a place to get a donut on my way to work.
Oh boy. Oh my gosh. I get it. So last night my plane was delayed. And a very bad place for me to get stuck is in an airport because it's crowded. It's hard to work in an airport, though I will do it. And there's always little food places of stuff I don't need or want. And being vegan makes it even tougher to be around all that crap. So last night, I'm stuck at the airport, and I walked through one of the card shops, and what was there? Those daggone Oreos. Oh, yes, I did. And I'm still feeling bad about it today. Anybody else, do you see anything in your life connected to this inversion of law number 1? Remember, law number 1 is make it obvious. That's when you're creating a new habit. But to disappear a habit, you invert law number 1, and that is make it invisible.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Deborah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Well, just FYI, Oreos are vegan.
I know they are. Because believe me, they weren't my first choice.
Yeah, and they're crap, and there's lots of crappy food that is plant-based. Anyway, so speaking of that, so I don't have anything that I don't want to eat in my house. So now there's things I want to limit, you know, that I don't go crazy for, but that is something I do. I just don't.
Yeah, you have a good discipline around that. So it's not something that you have a lot of cues.
Right.
Yeah, I get that. And I don't really either. You know, like
Yeah.
I dramatize the gummy bears and I dramatize the cookies to make a point. The truth is, where they're hidden, what it take for me to go and get them, I don't care enough about.
Yeah, that's a great system.
Yeah. Okay, well, then we're going to go on to the next slide. Somebody want to take this one? The second law.
I will.
Thank you.
The more attractive, the second law, make it attractive. The more attractive an opportunity is, the more likely it is to become habit forming. Habits are a dopamine-driven feedback loop. When dopamine rises, so does our motivation to act. It is the anticipation of a reward, not the fulfillment of it, that gets us to take action. The greater the anticipation, the greater the dopamine spike. Temptation bundling is one way to make your habits more attractive. The strategy is to pair an action you want to do with an action you need to do.
Yeah, very good. So an example here. Now, I don't have a series right now that I'm attracted to, but for a while I had a Netflix television series that I really liked. But how I did the temptation bundling is I got to watch an episode as long as I was on the elliptical. So I would go to the gym to watch my program. So it got me on the elliptical. And so that was one way to make the habit of getting to the elliptical more attractive, because I knew I was going to get to see my program. Let's see, what's another one for me? Well, starting earlier in the morning, which I've talked about this over and over again, but I'll just keep doing it because anybody who could use it should steal it. And that is, I always have an 8 a.m. appointment, always. So like last night, I got in late because my flight was delayed. If I did not have this 8 a.m. appointment, I would likely not have gotten my day started probably until 9 or so, because I really wanted to stay in bed so bad. But because I have an 8 o'clock and it's with you, and I'm not going to break my word with you, then I had to be up at 6. There was just no way around it in order for me to have everything in order that I needed to have in order for the day to go on, with the exception of ironing my shirt. So that's one area where I got to use it. How about you?
Joanne?
Maria.
So Joanne and then Maria.
So this is years ago. I was not a regular flosser. It would be, they would say you should floss before bed, and I would, that just, by the time I brushed my teeth, I was tired.
Yeah.
So I put it into play that I flossed every morning. Well, since because then I'm refreshed and ready to do all the protocol for my teeth. But since when I floss in the morning, the odds are way high that I will floss at night before bed. But if I miss the morning, I don't.
Oh, that's interesting.
I know.
Yeah, got it. Okay, good. Let me see if there's any temptation.
Maria.
Oh, Maria, sorry, baby.
No problem. For me to get into the kitchen and to do the dishes and cooking is not something that I'm looking for.
Uh-huh.
What I'm creating is to listen to our recordings or listen to another workshop or another seminar from other institutions, and or listening to music. So anything that I want about, and so I get to do the dishes or cooking, and I get to get present to kind of empower myself to be okay for the day. Everything is okay. Be happy. Be positive, and it really adds something good for me. Well,
that's good.
I cook something for lunch and for dinner, and at the same time, I feel good with something that helps me to create, to be okay, to be fine, to be at peace, and kind of So
that's good.
To do the dishes and cooking.
That's really good. I turned, I'm not exactly sure how I did this. It fits in the domain of everything we're talking about, but I generally cook pretty much for the week, especially if I'm going to be gone. If I'm home, I do cook for Raphael, and I also now cook for his brother because his brother's staying with us. And I've turned it into therapy. When I cook, it's therapy. If I'm overwhelmed and I had a really busy day and my schedule is really tight, as soon as I have a short opening, even if it's only 45 minutes, I will sometimes run up to the kitchen and start cooking something. It's so weird, but it really works for me. It's like therapy. Anybody else? Anything? All right. Shaping your habits. Family, friends, etc. The culture we live in determines which behaviors are attractive to us. We tend to adopt habits that are praised and approved by our culture because we have a strong desire to fit in and belong to the tribe. We tend to imitate the habits of 3 social groups: the close, which would be friends and family; the many, which would be the tribe; the powerful, those with status and prestige. So the culture we live in determines which behaviors are attractive to us. Now, what stands out blaringly to me is, especially as a Landmark Seminar leader, but I would imagine that even as a Landmark Seminar participant, gave all of us a culture, and that culture provided behaviors that are attractive to us. And then we tend to imitate those habits, not just of our family and friends, but the tribe, the people, the culture that we were doused in or that we are doused in. Do you all see any other? Yeah, another would be the industry that you work in. So because I have so much involvement in the beauty industry, the kinds of people who are in that industry impact behaviors that are attractive to me, I assert.
Yeah, Thomas, Maria.
Yeah.
Yeah, reading that chapter, I remember something that it says about if the habit that I'm creating makes the tribe happy, it will be easier for me to go forward and do it.
Mostly,
But it made the tribe unhappy. Sometimes I don't do what I want, so sometimes, most of the time, I do what please other people, but not what please me.
yeah, and for you, that is a personal area where you have felt trapped. So don't misinterpret that you should imitate your tribe. What we're saying is, if there are habits that you desire, you should join a culture where those behaviors are desired, right? Like in a landmark seminar environment, a desired behavior is to share yourself. So people who are normally closed off will start to open up a little bit. Even if they don't open up a lot, they will see that as a desired behavior. If that's something they want, that's a good place to hang out. Join a culture where there's a commonality with the group already. So some people find this like in their church groups, or people who are involved in real estate. People have a culture for the most part, I've noticed. And so the normal behavior of the tribe often, key word is often, overpowers the desired behavior of the individual. You know, if I hang out if you're a kid who grows up in Louisville, Kentucky, you're more likely to smoke a cigarette than if you're a kid who grew up in San Francisco, California. Because the tribe in Louisville, Kentucky pulls for 12-year-olds smoking cigarettes. Now listen, this has probably all changed dramatically, but I'm only speaking from when I was 12. It was very normal. Whereas out here, I bet even in those days, it was a lot less normal, or you were considered a particular kind of kid if you were smoking at 12 or 13 years old. If a behavior can get us approval, respect, and praise, we find it attractive. For me, this goes back to when I was a kid. I was growing up at home, and there were various reasons why hanging out at home wasn't very appealing to me. And I don't want to make it extremely dramatic. It's just that mom and dad, there was always a lot of tension between them, and it was a lot easier just not to be around. However, I noticed that when I worked or accomplished something in a business kind of way, I got a lot of approval from my dad, a lot of praise. Well, hello. Now I'm 61 years old and I still work 12 and 14 hours a day. So you can see that particular behavior still lives over here with me. In fact, before the rest of you came on, Barbara and I were talking. I said, I'm really looking at who I'm developing myself to be for the rest of my life. And the 12, 14-hour days, and I'm not making those days wrong, by the way. I've loved everything that I do, but I really am looking different. I'm on the road about 200 days a year. I'm looking at this year getting it down to 100. I'm looking at some very big changes. And by the way, for anybody who's interested, I'm going to review the communication course, Access to Power, in May. It's the first weekend in May in San Francisco, if anybody wants to hook up with me and do it. Anybody see anything here for themselves about a culture?
Yeah, Thomas.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've been in Toastmasters for 31 years. I like the leadership. I like the communication. I like being with people because I've been there for so long, and because of all the leadership I've done. There's a huge amount of respect that I get from the group.
Right.
And there's a certain amount of a constant pursuit, particularly in my club, because we have such a standard of excellence. And the new people coming in, the younger people just keep pushing me. So, you know, you wonder why you stay in something for so long. Well, I mean, why do I show up every week for that? You know, for 31 years, basically.
Right. Good.
So it's an environment that, you know, there's just a lot there.
There is a lot
and
there.
a lot of friends there.
Excuse me. Yeah, beautiful. Anybody else? Somebody's got to chat.
Charlie?
Yeah, Charlie.
I find it interesting because I was going to raise my hand when Barb was speaking, and I was going to share the same story. I participated in Toastmasters for about 12 years, and I just loved the feeling of confidence that it inspired in me. And I was club president. I participated in contests, but I could see I really loved the tribe.
Yes. Yes. Right. All right. So next time we will work on 10, 11, 12, but I want you to read through 15. And before we go, I just want to check in about your list. So there are 3 lists. List number 1 is my habit list of the day. List number 2 is where I simply notate each item, plus, minus, or equal sign. Remember, it's positive, negative, or neutral. And the other list is the list of stuff that's just happening. Like the sun comes up, a text comes through, an email comes through, the phone rings, I get hungry, the cat scratches the door. Things that are passively happening around me. Do you understand what I'm asking for here? So please do not minimize the importance of these lists, especially because we are digging in now to make sure that when we finish, we have some new habits that we've developed and some habits that we wanted to get rid of actually destroyed. So on my daily list, I noticed things that I left out. And it was interesting to me, and I'm hoping that you found some that you left out. Like I forgot that I take my vitamins every day. And listen, if you forget that you do it, that's a really good habit. Because I just do it. I don't think about doing it. So that would be a very valuable place for me to do a habit stack. You remember habit stacking?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't remember if I mentioned that I do my detox tea in the morning. I think I did, but I didn't mention that I feed the cat, that I feed the fish. By the way, my detox tea, which isn't the tastiest tea on the planet and not attractive to me, I habit stacked. And I also did the other thing that we did earlier. Shoot, I can't remember what it was called. And now it's important to me to find it. Temptation bundling. The thing I look most forward to when I get up in the morning is my kombucha. Oh my gosh, you guys. I mean, I wake up and I'm like, oh, I want some kombucha. Well, after I have my tea, I get to have my kombucha. So that's how I did temptation bundling with that. Then I have my toast and peanut butter. I love crunchy peanut butter. So there's another place I might be able to do a habit stack or even a temptation stack for that matter, because I love it so much. Wet my hair, shave, but I don't think that I said that I use my derma wand. Did I tell you all that?
You did say that last time.
I did? Okay, good. Then I don't have to say it again. And let's see. Hair, brush my teeth, next exercises, light stretching. Oh, did I tell you all about how I lose my car? I did, didn't I?
You mean when you park like at an airport or a hotel and you have a rental car, but you don't, so that if the car changes and the locations of where it's parked change.
Yeah, and that part I use to make it less dramatic. But the truth is, I lose my car, you guys. If it's a rental car, I'm really screwed. If I'm in another city, it's really harder. But I even lose my own car here. Now, in my defense, I haven't completely lost my mind. What's generally happening is I'm in a conversation and I park my car and I get out of the car and I walk into the store or wherever I'm going and and I get into the store and I'm like, oh shit, I don't know where I can park my car. Now, of course, you can hit the panic button and it shows up, but I wanted a system where I could always find my car. So I had to connect the habit of the system to the habit of turning off my car. So you always turn off your car. It's a habit. How many times do you have to stop and think, oh, did I turn off my car? No, you turn it off. The moment you stop, you put it in gear, you turn off your car. So I habit stacked that as soon as I turn off the car, the key's in my hand, I turn the parking lot into a huge clock. And 12 o'clock is the front door that I'm going to. And now that's how I find my car. I feel so brilliant. But I stole that from Burning Man, because Burning Man, the whole area is set up like a clock. And I thought, oh, what a brilliant way. And it's easy. It's like immediately, as soon as I park, there's the front door. If that's 12 o'clock, I'm at 4 o'clock. Boom. And I find the car. I can see you're not as impressed with it as I am. Yeah, Joanne, go ahead.
Yeah. Having been on you many of the times you're on the phone when you're looking for the car, I am impressed. Where's my car? Oh, what kind of car did I have? What color was it?
Listen, my friend Bobby, who lives in LA,
yeah.
I would often travel to LA, pick up my car, and I would go straight to Bobby's house to visit before I would start my week. And invariably, I'd go up to his front door and he'd say, Timmy, stop, don't turn around. What kind of car do you have? I'd be like, oh, Bobby, I don't know. What color is it? I think it's blue, but I'm not sure that son of a bitch would be red. I mean, I just never paid attention.
So I wanted to make a comment that as I was reviewing my habit list, that I noticed that many of my habits are triggered or cued by location. So in the kitchen, I have certain habits. I empty the dishwasher, I put the dishes in, make sure the counters are clean, I cook. Then at my desk, I go into a habit. In the bathroom, in the morning when I get dressed, I do my teeth, then I clean my face, then I take a shower. It's very habitual, based on even which way I'm facing in a room will determine, am I looking at this and that needs to happen? Or am I this way and that needs to happen?
That's good. Yeah, I got that. That's good. That's good. Anybody else? Anything on your list? Anything you were missing that you noticed and you put back in? I noticed at nighttime I turn on my Pandora timer. Do you all use Pandora for music?
No.
Well, Pandora has an alarm on it. And if you set the alarm, you wake up to whatever music choice you want. So I have very nice, relaxing, inviting music that goes off in the morning to wake up. If I don't wake up naturally. And usually I wake up naturally, but I set it just to make sure, That was something I forgot about.
What I also noticed is I have habits around each of my technologies. So my iPad has certain habits. My iPhone has certain habits. My Kindle has certain habits.
Nice. I would definitely put those in the list, Joanne.
Well, I have been. And what is occurring is my list is getting so long.
Yep.
Yet I wonder how I get anything done.
Yeah, well, but the thing is, you'll go back, like in a couple of calls from now, we'll go back and we'll highlight the habits that are best for habit stacking
Mhm.
or temptation bundling.
Well, what I've got really conscious of is how many of them occur unconsciously.
Yeah.
And maybe some of these are addressing old issues that no longer need to be addressed.
Yeah, got it.
So it's actually been like, my experience is that I'm living under a microscope, and I'm the one looking, and I'm the one underneath.
So, what do you guys think our homework should be?
Show up on time to the next call. Don't lose our cars.
Yeah, don't lose your card.
How about finish uncompleted homework?
Yeah, right. No, anything that's not been completed, don't worry about it. Just take it out of existence. And what you'll do is make sure you're managing your list. Okay, big deal. Read through chapter 15. Next week, we'll do our work through chapter 12. I would say find one temptation bundling. Okay, so here's what you got. Manage your list, read through 15, and find one temptation bundling. And you might have to go back and find the chapter to read about it again, okay? I love you guys.
When do we meet again? When do we meet again?
2 weeks from today.
You know,
Next-
Tom, it might be
next
good if we came up with a couple of declarations of who we're choosing to be the source of new habits. Or
Very
something.
good. All right. Consider the future identity. Okay, good. And anybody who's interested, next Friday I'll be doing the 10-time rule. So if anybody wants to jump on that isn't already doing that, you're welcome to do that. All right, guys. Love you madly. Mwah. Have a wonderful weekend.
Love you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.